All right, sum of counting numbers. Counting numbers are the first types of numbers that you learned. So you would start by, when you were a baby, you learned how to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So counting numbers start with 1. They're the natural numbers. All right, now, if we're doing sum, remember sum means add. So what happens if we take the first 3 counting numbers and compare that to the first 4 counting numbers? How far apart are they? So the first 3 and then the first 4. The first 3 would add up to, just do 1 plus 2 plus 3, and we would have a total of 6. If we added the first 4, it'd be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which would give us 10. So you add 4 more, but notice, you add 4 more, well that's the first 4. Check this out, the first 5 counting numbers, you would just add a 5 to it. So the number of counting numbers tells you what you need to add to the previous sum. So if we just add 5 to that, we'd get 15. The first 6, obviously we're going to add 6 to that, that would be 21. So that gives us a shortcut if we're asked to do something like this. So the sum of the first n plus 2 counting numbers is 43 more than the sum of the first n counting numbers. What is the value of n? Well, I don't feel like continuing that pattern all the way to find this answer, do you? That seems like a big waste of time. So the shortcut is going to be this number right here. 43, and they're 2 apart. So the way that we do the shortcut is we find the 2 consecutive numbers that add to 43. How do I know they're consecutive? Well, look at my pattern I made. 3, 4, 5, 6. We keep adding 4, 5, 6. So they're consecutive numbers. The 2 consecutive numbers that add to 43. And a quick way to find those numbers, obviously, is to divide this by 2, which would be 21.5, and then they have to be to the left and to the right. So the answer is going to be 21 and 22 add to 43. Well, that's not our final answer. That doesn't give us n. And actually, this is our n plus 2. This is our n plus 1. And that makes this our n. So what number is that? 20. All right. Well, why don't you guys try one on your own? All right, here's the question I want you to try. The sum of the first n plus 3 counting numbers is 93 more than the sum of the first n counting numbers. What is the value of n? All right, go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, and here for the solution. So again, these numbers are 3 consecutive numbers is what we're looking for. So 3 numbers in a row, or 3 consecutive numbers that add to 93. So I can divide that by 3 and that'll give me a ballpark. If I divide that by 3, I'm looking for a number about 31. So actually it's going to be 30, 31, and 32 are the 3 consecutive numbers that add to 93. This one is our n plus 3. This is our n plus 2, our n plus 1, and then our n is going to be 1 less than that, which is 29. Let's prove it, because let's say you're trying this question and you're like, I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it. Let's prove that that works. So And here's a little shortcut that'll show you the actual sum. Shortcut for the sum of counting numbers. I really like this shortcut. All you need to do is find the first and the last. So the first number is 1. And just to read this, I'm going to make an equation out of this that says the first n plus 3 counting numbers. So I'm saying that the answer is 32. The sum of the first 32 counting numbers. So I'm going to make that be 32 for my last number. So what I do to check this, I just add these up, the first and the last, and I find their mean. And the reason I can do this is because it's like an arithmetic sequence. They're the same numbers apart. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all 1 apart. So if I find the average of the first and the last, it gives me the average of the whole thing. So add them up. 1 plus 32 equals 33. Divide it by 2, because there's 2 numbers, and we get 16.5. So that gives me my mean. And now to find the total, all I'm going to do is multiply that by, how many numbers are there? Well, the first 32, that's 32 numbers. So times 32. If I multiply that out, I'm going to get 528 would be my sum. And that's supposed to be equal to the sum of the first n counting numbers. Well, we said n is 29. So let's just check that and see if that's the same thing. So again, if the first is 1 and the last is 29, add those up and find their mean. So add them up, we get 30 divided by 2, because there are 2 numbers here. We get 15. And I am going to get 15 times, how many numbers are there? What's the first 29? So 15 times 29. And if we do that, 15 times 29, just checking that, I get 435. And this says that that should be 93 more. Remember that? 93 more. So let's just subtract those 2 numbers. So 528 minus 435, and we get a 3. We borrow, and it's 93 apart, so it checks. So just proving why this shortcut works. And you also learn how to find the sum of the counting numbers. And that wraps up counting numbers. Peace out.